Day 3 of the Ag Resource Crop Tour. We're coming back north on Highway 47, back through Illinois. And any surprises today? Jim, we'll start out with you again today.
Well, mostly the soybeans are continuing to hold pretty good promise. Pretty easy to see the difference between a Group 3 and a Group 2 bean. There are 15 nodes on Group 2s and 22 nodes on Group 5s. 3s, excuse me. What I mean is it's an extra 30 or 40 pods in some of the samples in the Group 3s, and that's what we found. We're higher in pod counts in these counties than we were last year in these counties.
Yeah. Harry, what's your surprise today?
Well, I gotta admit, I'm from Northern Illinois, and I'm surprised to find out how bad a shape or poor shape that maybe the central and southern crops are. Not terrible, but definitely a surprise to me. And as we got to thinking about what happened, the first field we came to, we thought it was maybe just a fluke, and then after 3 or 4 more, we stopped, talked to a farmer that was a client of Dan's, and started to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and everything that we were finding makes sense. You know, late planting, too much heat, not enough water, just a lot of stress factors piled on to hurt the corn more than what we maybe thought it was going to be to begin with.
Kevin, what do you think?
Things look really good from the windshield, corn-wise. When you get out and you walk in the field, it's totally different. So it's quite a surprise to see that. Beans look good. Again, are we going to get some rain in the next 10 days? So still a lot of crop, but certainly the corn is not what we thought 3 days ago, 2 days ago.
Yeah, maybe this is our worst field we stopped by here as we finish the tour, and you can see that we've got a lot of tip back. I think as you looked at central and east central Illinois, what you had really ended up with is some late plantings, a couple of days of the wrong 100-degree temperatures where it may have hit it and hit these early silks, and you're going to end up with a yield drag of maybe 15 to 30 bushels an acre below last year. And so that pretty much declares where we're at. I doubt Illinois does a record yield. The record yield in Illinois is 210 bushels an acre, set in 2018. The one thing that we really notice is that when we start looking at seed depth, the seed depth just isn't there. So we don't know what this really means, but as we go forward, we worry that it could take more seeds to make a bushel. And Jim, maybe you want to comment on that just for a minute.
Right. In 2018, we probably got corn at a 90,000, 85,000 kernel equivalent to make a bushel. And in these kind of years in east central Illinois, it's going to take closer to 100,000. Well, there's 10% right there on a 250 bushel yield. There's 25 bushels.
Yeah.
On seed size.
When we grab an ear, we like to see that there's no space here at all between our fingers, and there's just a lot of space, and these kernels are just too short. So we don't know what that means today, but we fear that if the crop matures rather quickly, it's going to mean lower yield. Anything else in closing here, gentlemen?
That wraps it up pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at today.
Had a great trip.
Great trip. We found better than expected without any holes or many holes in Iowa. There was some south of I-80. We went to Illinois. We were just the opposite, where we were looking and hoping for good corn. We saw the northern third of the state having really good potential, but as we got south in central areas, we just kind of ran out of gas, and we had crops that were planted too late, which gave us problems with tipping and also circumference as we look at the crop today. Not a record corn yield in Illinois, respectable. We're still probably going to be nearer in that 200 bushel range, but it's just not going to take us home to where we need to be in terms of total supply. U.S. corn yield will probably be somewhere between 173 on the downside, 178 or so on the top side, and that's how we're catching it, assuming we don't have an early frost. Kind of wraps up the crop tour. We don't know on soybean yields because we just don't have pod weights. That would take another tour in about 3 or 4 weeks. Thank you again. We'll be back next year. Thank you to Jim, Harry, Kevin, and for everybody here and what they do, and yes, of course, Brandon behind the camera. Have a good season. We'll talk to you next week. We hope this has been a very good preview for Pro Farmer. Bye-bye.